stay outside if you want.
Wouldn't you rather listen? Maybe Was that the conference last year? You know, I did this part of the other person. This one company is coming tomorrow, but can I really sense of, one company, in general, should use some products when you do it.
Good evening, this is a meeting of the Township Committee, March 7, 2016. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Star Ledger, the Independent, and the Two of the Times, and by posting at the Middletown Township Municipal Building and filing with the Township Clerk on January 7, 2016. Committeeman Fiore.
Here.
Committeeman Murray. Here. Committeeman Fiore. Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Here.
Mayor Sharp.
Here.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to honor the troops serving worldwide, defending our freedoms, constitutions, and way of life. Thank you. First item on tonight's agenda, we have no action items. We have a public hearing of proposed ordinance 2016-3161, an ordinance amending portions of Chapter 127 of the Code of the Township of Middletown governing recreation programming fees.
Are there any members of the public who would like to speak to ordinance number 2016-3161? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions here about this. When it was first introduced, I know Committeeman Fiore asked for a cost comparison or a rate comparison. Could you explain maybe how much of an increase some of these fees are going up?
I asked for a comparison from the administrator and recreation director as to were the fees, I was looking for justification for the fees to make sure that we were setting to the right rate, in which I received the information via memo from the recreation director as to what the cost of the programs were versus under the old fee schedule versus what the cost would be under the new fee schedule. And I would have to say that this new, from what I've seen, just to summarize, what I've seen in the change to this fee schedule just covers the cost of the programs. Instead of running very small deficits, we will now break even or run maybe a very small negligible profit if all participants were to participate. So it is nothing that I saw as being too, I wanted to make sure was that it was pretty much revenue neutral, and I'm satisfied with the memo I saw.
And you know what, I'll add that the fees are still well below the average for other comparable programs, so it's definitely fair what's being proposed.
Okay. Also, there's like a range of fees for certain activities. Who determines exactly what a person pays? Is that going by age or height?
John, why don't you explain why we have a range in certain areas?
Sure, I actually can't explain why we have it. It's unfortunately what we've always had, but how it's determined depends on how the instructor is paid. So we have a few different instructors that get paid either per class or per person, and then some of them too per person. If they have over 10 people, they get a kind of like a signing bonus, an additional fee for that.
Right.
So we just take the amount of what their fees are going to be, divide it by the amount of classes, and then we come up with the break-even number from there. And if we don't have that, unfortunately, we do cancel the classes for that. Give them a full refund if that's the case.
Okay, thank you. Also, I noticed there's a picnic fee. I know this has been on the books for quite a while. Who enforces this? Or does anybody enforce this?
So if they want a picnic, they actually apply through our department as well, and it's a
Okay.
$50 versus a $75 picnic permit fee.
Right.
And which is dependent upon if they're a resident of
Is-
Middletown or not,
is
and they
there-
apply for it through our department.
Is there signage posted at Bodmin Park for that? 'Cause some people just show up with their,
Absolutely,
grandchildren
and
or
you know,
something.
that's a problem that we unfortunately deal with. We do have a seasonal employee that does work on the weekends, but unfortunately, because of how big we are, we can't staff every single park. Most of the times, people do come in with us, and unfortunately, if we do find out about it, that X group was there, if we know what group it is, we can unfortunately track them down after the fact. We did have a group that came in the other day that's trying to just do an Easter egg hunt, and he's like, so basically, I could probably show up and do this, and you guys would never know. We said, kinda, but at the same time, we appreciate you coming in, and he was happy to pay the picnic fee.
Right.
But as far as the signage, I'm not 100% sure if there's signage that says, we're not gonna stop it if a group goes to the picnic area, we're not gonna,
Usually
stop and do
people
it.
apply for a permit if it's a larger event.
If it's a big
Because
group.
that way, we can then have someone go and clean up afterwards.
And the po-
To take care of the trash.
The positive too, when they do apply for the picnic permit fee, we do open the bathrooms, so that's definitely a bonus for them too, to come, we'll open the bathrooms for their set
Cool.
time, so.
So this just applies for groups? It's not for individuals?
For like you and your family, if you wanted to go use it,
Yeah,
you're
like
saying,
some people
or-
asked me they wanted to bring their grandchildren over for a picnic, that wouldn't apply?
No, they could just go and have a picnic at a table, but again, there's not gonna be bathrooms that are gonna be open. They
Right.
can do that to any one of our parks, or our parks are always open for that. But if
Right.
it's like a big group, you're having a family reunion, or I want my church organization to go out there, then
Right.
they'll come pay for that.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak to ordinance number 2016-3161? Seeing no further members of the public come forward, we need to close the public portion and move for adoption.
Second.
Committeeman Michelle,
Yes.
Committeewoman Murray,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore,
Yes.
Mayor Sharpburger.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt ordinance 2016-3161. At this time, I'd like to ask the Township Committee if you'd like to adopt a consent agenda, which would include resolutions 16-95 through 16-101.
So moved.
Second. Sorry, Steve.
Okay. Committeeman Massell,
Yes.
Committeewoman Murray,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore,
Yes.
Mayor Sharpburger.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt the consent agenda. At this time, we have resolution 16-102, resolution authorizing payment of bills for March 7, 2016.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Committeeman Massell,
Yes.
Committeewoman Murray,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore, Mayor Sharpburger.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 16-102. For the regular meeting agenda for March 21st, 2016, we'll have certificates of appreciation proclamations, the approval of minutes, and a public hearings on proposed ordinances and introduction of proposed ordinances. Of consent agenda, which would include resolutions, bingo raffle applications, and volunteer firefighter applications. For discussion items for tonight, March 7, 2016, we have a resolution authorizing aerial mosquito control operations within Middletown Township. The Adopt a Jug Handle program.
Yeah, I just wanted to get some feedback and I guess ultimately permission from the committee to look into the Adopt a Jug Handle program, reinstating that. Many of you probably remember many years ago, there was a program where local businesses, landscapers, a lot of times would adopt a jug handle island and maintain it. They'd get a little sign from it was made by the township, but it was in conjunction with the DOT and managed by the DOT and the town together. That program was abandoned by the state years ago, along with the Adopt a Highway program. They've recently reintroduced the Adopt a Highway program, and they're willing to make the jug handle adoption part of that program if we're interested in doing it. There are still some landscapers in town that, or other organizations that still maintain these jug handles. A lot of them have dropped off, but the one across from here is maintained by a landscaper.
Ted, what happens to, I'm sorry, Jerry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
What happens to the ones that are continuously being maintained though? What about those guys, if
By-
this changes? By the private?
Well, here's what happens right now, the state comes through,
Every 5 to 6 weeks.
you know, basically they have one tractor with a belly mower. It starts up at 36 in Highland, goes all the way up and then down 35 and does like a loop around. And it could be 6 weeks before they're here, and depending on the rain we're having for the season. It could be no grass there, or they could come through and the grass could be a foot high. They usually run through, chop it up, but they don't edge it, they don't really take care of it. The township used to do it, but these are state properties, and, you know, there was a cost to the town, and we really didn't get anything back from the state for doing this.
I remember it fondly.
I know you do. I remember you remember it, and, so, you know, the one thing that was a benefit when the town used to do this, maintain these jug handles that were unsponsored, was that it did improve the look of the town, even though it really wasn't our property, but there was a cost to that. Since then, a lot of landscapers and other companies have come up asking if they could sponsor the jug handles, and the program hasn't been active. But I'm talking with a gentleman over at the state now who's kind of, you know, taking this project over for the DOT.
So my thoughts are, I would just, so long as it's coordinated with the DOT, because part of the issue when we drew attention to that issue was the DOT kind of played a laissez-faire, oh, well, you have people adopting your jug handles, so we don't cut it. So, I mean, I never want to let the state off their obligation if people don't uphold their end of the bargain. So long as it's coordinated with DOT, so long as the state still comes driving down 35 and 36 and sees if something isn't mowed, that they do it, they don't just, you know, take the position of, well, someone else is supposed to be doing it, which the state of New Jersey is really good at doing.
Yep.
I would be okay with it, but I don't want to see, you know, we let somebody adopt and then they don't take care of it, and the state decides to shirk their
Right.
state highway responsibility, and then we want to do more food with the grass that your crew has to go into.
Well, the gentleman at the DOT is going to pull out the rules and the way the system is to be run again, and hopefully we can get some kind of guarantee from the companies or the organizations that maintain these to stick with them, and if they don't.
The organizations that already have them and do them, though, they'll just continue.
They've been doing them consistently anyway, even though the program ended.
Right.
So they haven't been the locations where there've been problems, it's the other ones that are, you know, look kind of messy, so.
Ted, doesn't Eurus Monument still do theirs?
I think the Retired Police Officers Association does that one.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah. They do a really good job with that, too.
Yeah, I think
Very well
Eurus
maintained.
actually helped, you know, get
Yeah,
a monument.
it helps them, gave them a piece of monument out there.
So there were a few other locations. And the ones that,
Yeah, the other reason that's beneficial to us is we do pretty well in sustainable Jersey, and this will give us additional points. We want to get to silver one day, or bronze. Silver's really hard to get to, but this and a few other things we're working on might get us there one of these days. And that helps us, it gives us some access to some grants possibly.
once I get more information about it, I'll email it around so you can see how it's going and give you an update, hopefully soon, for the
I'll
weather.
tell you how often you can cut grass.
Non-invasive species if you want money.
Okay,
Was that
we have the zoning map, one.
The last item, I think you had a memo emailed to you from that San had prepared. Essentially what it is, it's just one lot that looks like it was erroneously included in the wrong zone back in 2001. There's a large property, well, it's a large area of undeveloped property on Everett Road, excuse me, Everett Road, and it was intended to be put in, when the town went from 2-acre zoning to 3-acre zoning in that area, it was changed to a 3-acre zone. But the line actually included a house at the end of a cul-de-sac in the neighborhood behind it, which is in an R45 zone. No one really noticed it, but the homeowner most recently, I don't know if they're looking to sell their house or whatever, for some reason they looked into doing something with their house and realized they're in the wrong zone. And they are. We researched it back, going back to the early 80s. And it was always in the correct zone, but in 2001, for some reason, a line just moved. So it just needs to be corrected. So we'd have to do a zoning ordinance to amend it to move one lot out of the 3-acre zone and back into the 1-acre zone. So that'll be coming up the next couple of meetings. Very simple.
Sounds like easy.
But we have to do an ordinance to correct it.
I just have one quick item I wanted to add. The welcome to Middletown signs that have been in need of some sprucing up. It came up at the last landmark commission that there's a grant out there where maybe we'll use the funds to replace those signs. Hey, the question I have is, where do we get those signs?
You know, Tony might know that, I was before my time when they were here. I know we recently, past 5 years, took them in and repainted a lot of them, but I don't know who actually made them.
It was a sign company. The town actually went out to bid and awarded a bid to a sign company. I think they were actually from Point Pleasant or somewhere like that. They weren't very local, but they submitted, we gave them a rough design. They submitted like a final design with a proposal, and they installed them all.
So it's over the threshold, it would have to go out to bid?
Probably.
Is that
If you do all of them.
under landmarks jurisdiction, and welcome to Middletown signs?
Not really, but because it says established, you know, and there's a historic component, that's how you can use these. You can
Right,
make an argument for
but
using-
we don't have to have approval if we change the sign in the landmarks commission.
No, we don't need approval from
Oh, no, just an interest.
Like if you didn't want to use a wooden sign anymore, because they're all,
But in the historic district, you probably are relegated to staying
there's
within
no,
the boundaries.
but there's no welcome to Middletown areas in the
Right.
historic district. You're not, that's not a
They're all
delineated.
internal, you know.
I mean, you can do the standard metal signs that we can make in our own shop, but at the time, they decided to go with the routed wood signs, you know, a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
But they just don't seem to be last.
Well, that was a long time ago, right? They lasted a decent amount of time, but yeah, they do eventually have to be replaced. They get hit by cars. We've had
So
a
if
couple
we
hit by
can't
cars.
get a grant, why don't we just work with the Community Affairs Council?
That's what we did it last time.
And do potentially what other towns do. You could have businesses who could sponsor a sign. We can redo a sign
Yeah.
design, I guess. I mean, you go to Hazlet, on the border of Middletown, and you go in, and they have welcome to Hazlet signs, and they're sponsored by various Hazlet businesses.
We've talked about doing that in the past. You can have the sign designed so you can hang sort of a shingle sign underneath
Right,
it.
but they
It
don't
can also
have-
be changed in the way, what we'd have to decide is whether we want it to be an annual, like you pay an annual amount for that sign,
Yeah.
or, and then that way you can change it out. Or if someone purchases the sign, it's their sign until their business goes away and then someone else wants to take their place. That's something we'd have to discuss.
Unless we can get our own grant, then that's a whole better idea.
Yeah. And the grant is, it's up there, it's $15,000 to $20,000, I think. Not a match, just a, you know.
Well, we probably would have to match that, because I don't think you can ever replace them all for 15 to 20,000.
Yeah, I know.
That's probably two, three signs.
Yeah.
I mean,
There-
Start going for sure.
oh, yeah.
I think we counted this in Maureen, with the number of what, 17?
17's coming in my head too, yeah.
The thing is, depending on the grant situation, if it's something worthwhile, you don't necessarily have to do them all at once. You could plan on do a few a year and reapply for it, and over time get it done. Or if you want to go with the business route. The other way of doing it possibly would be have the signs that people could pay for on the highways.
Right.
And some of our other
35,
borders aren't
36.
on highways. Maybe they don't need to have advertising on them, maybe just limit those ones to the highways.
Right.
The residential ones look more residential, I guess.
Cutting Ted's jug handle support.
Yeah, that's what we need, one more sign on that.
All right, that's all I
Okay.
have.
And township committee comments?
That's so.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick notes. I attended an event a couple weeks ago on a mini horse. It's a calming horses where you have vets and police officers who have been through traumatic situations, and these horses come in and they
Therapy was.
the therapy horses, and it was a phenomenal event. We had about 10 to 12 Middletown officers come into the SPUR program in the county equestrian facility, and there was, I would say, maybe 20 to 25 children with special needs there, and the police came in, and then this horse, when I tell you, if the horse was just came up to my knee, it was a lot. And it was a horse. I mean, I thought it was a dog. You think it was a dog. It's unbelievable, but there was a smile in every room, and I just thought it's worth sharing because it was such a phenomenal event. And we're just with the press that police are getting across this country, this kind of, easygoing, nice event. It was a great event. It was actually covered by NBC. I don't know if it even aired yet.
It hasn't aired yet.
It hasn't aired yet, but it was a phenomenal event, and I was glad to be a part of it. And yesterday's event, I'll leave that to you, Mayor, but phenomenal. The fundraiser for yesterday was just fantastic. So, but I'll leave that for you. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to reserve my comments until the second March meeting, so I have nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Sounds good.
Mayor, I was going to speak about the Alliance Breakfast, just a tremendous job they did. I'm going to let you pine on that. And, I will follow my colleague's lead, and I'm sure I'll have plenty to say at the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, and I'll just touch upon it. The Municipal Drug and Alcohol Alliance had a fundraiser at Applebee's. Anybody who's ever been to one, you pay a flat fee and then you get breakfast. And I think they had 115 tickets sold, which was tremendous. And then they had raffle tickets, and they really did quite well. And it's a spectacular, cause. So something that's touching a lot of people. They really do good work. The new executive director over there is really full of fire, and she's doing great things, and I think we'll be able to help a lot of people with the organization, a lot more than ever in the past. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to reserve everything else for next week, 2 weeks.
Okay, you have public comments?
Anybody from the public care to comment? See? Oh, yes, sir. One thing, name and address, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes, so everybody wants to speak, okay?
Sure. Mike Cito, 11 Concord Drive in Freehold. I'm actually the owner of the property at the residential area that this gentleman was just speaking about. Just a little backstory. My parents bought it in the 70s. It's a vacant lot. I recently got married and looking to build a single home on it, and when doing our due diligence, came across the zoning issue. So.
Boy, must have been a shock.
We look forward to your residency.
Yeah.
Welcome to town.
Thank you.
Well, at least it started off on a good note that we were able to work out the problem for you.
Great. Thanks.
That's it?
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, anybody else care to speak? All right, going once, going twice. Seeing no further members of the public want to comment, we will close the public portion, move for adjournment.
Second.
We need
I had to get in.
34.
I had to get in.
Committeeman Sal.
Yes.
Committeewoman Murray.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fiore.
Yes.
Mayor Sharkey.
Yes.
Motion carries to adjourn.
Oh.